And so at one point she said, why are you showing everybody how to do this? Why aren't we doing this?
Nice.
And so we found ourselves on this really, really fun journey over a couple decades.
Hi, and welcome to the Liquor Connoisseur. I'm Crystal. Roger could not be with us today, but we're still going to have some fun. Today we have our special guest, Ken MacKenzie of Fresh Victor, who makes fresh, cold press, premium mixers to put with your favorite spirits or not. Depends on how you like it. So Ken, welcome and tell us about yourself.
Oh, thanks so much, Crystal. I really appreciate you having me. And I love everything that you just said. It's a fun story. I ended up falling in love with a girl from Guadalajara, Mexico, back in the mid-90s. And once she left California after finishing school, I found myself knowing that I wanted to get married just right away. And so as I got down there, I was looking for a reason to stay. Obviously, she was a big one that comprised 99%. But I wanted to feel like I could do something down there. And one of the really interesting things in the mid 90s was 100% agave tequila really hadn't taken off in the States yet in a meaningful, impactful way. And it was just starting to get legs underneath it. And so for me, it was a really golden opportunity to really understand not only the business, but how the US and Mexico do business together, and how what's misunderstood and what's understood. And a lot of it was the production side in Mexico and the 3-tier system that we experience here in the States. And there's a prodigious disconnect between those. And so I found myself doing that for a while, kind of on the consulting side. And my wife's always been smarter than I am. And so at one point she said, why are you showing everybody how to do this? Why aren't we doing this?
Nice.
And so we found ourselves on this really, really fun journey over a couple decades where we were building tequila brands together. After doing a number of brands, she had said, can we pivot and do something else? And luckily, I think that something that we had learned over time, Crystal, was what does the broad market need? And what I found as a sweeping generalization was people really enjoyed tequila. Like it had come such a long way. And, I'm so proud of just seeing it from, a couple dozen brands into just hundreds of brands. But the other side of that was really, what are people doing that they need help with per se? And that was creating cocktails or mocktails in this day and age. And so for us, what we really tried to do was create something that we'd want to drink at home. And hence Fresh Victor. And I think like anything in life, Crystal, you want to solve for problems. And one of the things that we were really noticing that was prevalent was a lot of the times when I was doing these tequila seminars, and this could be for distributors or it could be for national accounts or whatever, they would say, how do you make your cocktails? And they'd notice that as I was doing my demonstration that I might take 4 minutes to build this from the glass up, ice and agave nectar and squeezing the limes. And they said, how do you do that in 20 seconds? And the only thing I can think of to say is I don't. I don't have a cheat code for you. I think what they were looking for is how do we stay premium, but do it quickly? And at the time, I think that maybe like a lot of us, I had grown up with a lot of kind of neon green, high fructose corn syrup, mixers that aren't particularly good. They're overly sweet and they're high caloric, and you just don't. It's not something you gravitate to. But for a long time, it was the only option. And so we really kind of set to thinking, what do we do at home and how could we do it more effectively? Because the other thing I noticed was I had never attended one of my own dinner parties. I was behind the bar the entire night making cocktails for people while they were eating dinner. I was fine because everybody would come to the bar and talk to me, but I wouldn't sit and eat with them. And it was, that was probably a good problem to have for a while. But at some point, you think, hey, there's got to be an easier way to do this. And for us, we wanted to do two things. One, stay as premium as possible, which was very much lockstep with our positioning with tequila. And two, do something that was absolutely consistent, that was convenient and easy to do so you could be proud to serve it, whether it's a restaurant, casino, bar, cruise ship, amusement park, it really didn't matter, or at home. It should be the same across the board. And so again, I'll reference my wife being a lot smarter than I am. She said, I hope you're not going to call this a margarita mix if you're using fresh ingredients. This can be used with anything. If I run that down for you, Crystal, I mean vodka, rum, gin, tequila, whiskey, champagne, sparkling wine, wine for sangria, it doesn't matter. But then the other side of that coin, which is really interesting, is there was a lot of people, even way back when, that didn't drink.
Yeah.
And what I noticed was they were always relegated to the corner with like a can of Coca-Cola or a bottle of water.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like there was a whole lot of in between there.
Yeah.
And so we created something where we could not only be proud of it, but you could be drinking the exact same thing. So if you're drinking tequila and our Mexican lime and agave for our margarita, I could be having the Mexican lime and agave with sparkling water. And we're drinking essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's really cool too. And so it's really more of a broad market positioning as far as saying our mantra is delicious mixers make delicious drinks.
Wow. I am excited to try these. There are 9 flavors. The combinations I would have never thought they're wild to me. When I look at some of them, like, was it 3 citrus and mint leaf, the cactus pear and pomegranate, and then the grapefruit and sea salt.
Yeah.
That one struck me because normally you see everything is so sweet. And so to see the salt in there really took me by surprise.
Yeah, when you look at this in perspective, especially for the on-premise, when you think about what restaurant operators need, I think to a certain degree, you want to use ingredients that are probably difficult for people behind the bar to use on a regular basis. And so when you look at our grapefruit and sea salt, for example, that's a great one in the sense that it's very bright and it mixes beautifully with neutral-based spirits. And so, whether it's tequila for a fresh Paloma, or vodka for a salty dog, or gin with a little soda water, it's really versatile and easy to use. And then the other ingredients for me that I thought that we should be, using out of the gate was jalapeno is one that you really want to give people in the sense that it isn't the easiest thing to use behind the bar. And prickly pear is another one where everybody wants to use it, but no one wants to actually use it.
Right. So tell me, how did you come up with the name Fresh Victor?
It's funny. So a lot of times in our industry, you don't want to make a lot of claims on a label. For example, we're all natural, but it can be problematic to print all natural on something for the very reason of you can have different perceptions of that. And so for us, I think that what we really wanted to lead with, Crystal, the most important thing to me was what you're getting is fresh. And the first word we want you to read is fresh. You're the victor. It's a victory for you. You won. You figured out how to do this very easily. You've got something in your fridge. You've got a bottle of your favorite tequila, your favorite champagne or whatever. You mix it with our stuff and you're just ready to go.
I like that. That is awesome because I am not the best at crafting cocktails, so I'm always glad to find a cheat code to give
Right?
quality cocktails because mostly we drink neat. And so it's
Yeah.
very rare we do cocktails, and a lot of it's because of the extra sugars.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's one of the most interesting parts for me as an entrepreneur is figuring out how to do something that's stable and convenient for you where you say, hey, I actually want to purchase this again. I'm a
Yeah,
fan. I really like the versatility of this. And so what was important for us on a base level was just figuring out flavor combinations that cover enough of, your palate where you're saying, hey, I've got enough to work with here. And now, the sky's the limit. I'm going to create in my kitchen or my home bar.
yeah. And just looking at all these flavors, I mean, and the bottle, love the packaging. So this is the 16 ounce, which I believe makes 5 to 8 cocktails. You all recommend a 2-to-1 ratio of Fresh Victor to Spirit. Although I will say there's one I saw that was equal parts.
Yeah. I never like to tell people how to drink.
Okay.
I realized that we put that on the label. Um, I have found that 2-to-1 is a very pleasant drink. Like,
Okay.
it makes drinking quite easy. However, there's a certain contingency of our audience that oftentimes likes to mix 1-to-1. And that will take that bottle out a lot further because you'll get more mileage out of it if you're doing equal parts booze to Fresh Victor.
Well, I'm trying to think which one I want to mix up a little bit here. I'm thinking I'm gonna go. Let me do the pineapple and ginger root. Do something that's not. I'm typically simple, but I want to do something a little different and do that
Yeah,
pineapple and ginger root. And let's see.
fantastic.
Gonna put it in my little gimlet here. I know the measure, but I know what I like.
I
So,
trust your eye.
which which base spirit do you recommend most with the pineapple and ginger root?
Oh man, you know what? Rum is lovely.
Okay.
Vodka, tequila. You really
Oh,
can't go wrong with it.
oh my good. That is so bright. That is fresh.
Thank you. Yeah, it's so on a perfect day, what I'd have you do is just take a shaker with a little bit of ice because I know that you're going to get about a half ounce to an ounce of dilution from that,
I
and
can
it'll
do
be
that too.
ice cold. Yeah, and you just mix it with your favorite spirit, and it's a little bit different every time. And that's the fun part is you're kind of taking a trip or an adventure as far as, hey, tonight I may be doing it with rum, but next weekend with vodka, the following with tequila, then the following with sparkling wine for fresh mimosas.
That might be 3 to 2, uh, but it's gonna be good. So I'm putting this with some Black Mama vodka. I'm just gonna give
Great.
that a stir or a shake, I should say, a light shake. Let's see what we got. This shaker is always fun to open.
And you can, Crystal, just pour the entire contents into your glass and you're ready to go. It's just really that easy.
That came out perfect.
Great.
All right, let's see what this is. So it was amazing picking this up from when we got it delivered. It was like, fragile liquid, keep refrigerated. I was like, okay. I mean, I know we talk fresh, but I didn't expect that. That is perfect. The Black Mama doesn't have a lot of taste in that. It's not strong, so you still get that. I'm getting more of that ginger in there than the
Hmm.
pineapple on the first sip. But yeah, these are fresh pressed, and you have to keep them cold. So as soon as we got them home, they were packaged really nice, very insulated. The ice packs still kept it really cold,
Oh,
and we
good.
put them right in the fridge. And so they kept. And I see let's see, once you open it, it's a 3 week shelf life, and then unopened is 3 month, I believe.
Yeah. So, we've done all of our shelf life studies here at UC Davis, and one of the things that we knew is that you're just kind of working against fermentation. And so as long as you keep it cold, if it's truly refrigerated, then it's not like dairy. It's not going to go sour or bad on you. What will end up happening over time, over months, is that the brightness that you're experiencing, the pop with the acidity in the fresh pressed citrus, it'll just begin to fade a little bit. And so that's the great part. Is I have a lot of people that have just said, I'm not even noticing it. It just stays good, which is great because it's so high in acidity. But at the same time, we figure if you can't drink a 16-ounce bottle in 3 months, we're in trouble.
That is true. That is true. But you also have the 64-ounce bottles as well. So when you have those big parties.
We do, and it's perfect for that. It's funny that you bring that up. Those were initially intended for food service, for restaurants and bars and clubs and the such. And so we launched those in 2018 with the intent that we had 2-pack cases where you would get a gallon of Fresh Victor per case. When the pandemic hit, we noticed that drinking was up more than 400% in home.
Yeah.
And suddenly people were saying, hey, this 16-ounce won't do it for us. Is there anything bigger? And so the great news is those 64-ounce bottles will make a good 20 to 25 cocktails, which is really nice when you're having, guests over for dinner or a backyard barbecue or something.
Yeah, that's really neat. Neat story. And during the pandemic, I learned to drink whiskey because naturally I like tequila. So that was something I took up during that time. But one of the things I've noticed a lot in the spirits industry is there's always an animal associated. And for Fresh Victor, it's a llama.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you come up with the llama as your spirits animal, I guess you could say?
Yeah, that's a great. I like that you coined that term. That's fantastic. And it makes a lot of sense to me. The llama, I guess twofold, Crystal. One, the llama's a really social animal. And, we created Fresh Victor for you to celebrate, whether it's just yourself, with family, with friends. We want you to share the experience of, hey, we're drinking fresh, cold pressed drinks, whether it's on the cocktail or mocktail side. And so it should always be kind of a fun experience or something that brings warmth to you. And two, my wife and I had taken a trip to Peru, to Machu Picchu. And the two things that I knew about Peru going into this were, one, the culinary scene is amazing. But two, the cocktail scene probably matches that, the mixology. And what we saw when we got there was llamas were bringing in packs every morning of fresh fruit to be muddled and pressed for the drinks. And it just blows you away because you're thinking to yourself, at the time for us, it was 2019. And we were thinking 2019, they're bringing all this stuff in every day. It's a really cool experience. And so for us, we wanted something really iconic and something that you'd recognize right away. And I don't want to be too childlike, but Tony Tiger on a box of Frosted Flakes, we hoped that when you associated fresh cocktails or Fresh Victor, that you'd think to yourself, oh, the llama. And lastly, it gets a lot of engagement. And so people are always asking, what's the deal with the camel? What's the deal with the alpaca? What's the deal with the llama? And it creates a conversation. And that's what we want, is that celebratory conversation to occur.
I love it. So the package we got was the whole lot of llama because it has all 9 flavors. And I just love the stickers that came with it. So this one is the llama made me do it.
Indeed.
Love that. I mean, I just saw it and I was like, this is it. A llama is great. Like you said, they like to socialize. And what do you do with cocktails when you have them? You socialize. You're talking about, what's going on. You're creating those experiences and memories with your friends or whoever's around you as you're drinking great premium cocktails or drinks. So I think that's really great.
You just said it in a very eloquent way. That's exactly what I'm hoping for. Our mission statement right there is, beyond delicious mixers make delicious drinks. It's just that. It's the social aspect of, I'm so thrilled that I've been able to get Fresh Victor out to you. And now in turn, my fervent hope is you'll want to share it with others.
Yes, I'm already planning next week. We've got some friends coming by, and we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna try different things. Probably do a grazing board with different tasting notes that you get out of those drinks.
And I would, I would be so happy if you'd be willing to send me a picture or two. Just text it to me
Yeah,
and just say, "Hey, we went through our testing phase, our experiments, and this is what I think is really cool." And when I gather those sorts of things, I feel really good about all this because part of it is the participation. The I'm learning every day. People are showing me new and different things to do with the product every day, and for that, I'm eternally grateful.
yeah. No, I'm intrigued. We've got some pretty cool stuff on the wall. So I'm thinking, maybe doing the was it the Mexican lime and agave with a barrel aged gin?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Seeing what that imparts.
Absolutely. You can make Rickies, you can do daiquiris with rum, you can do margaritas with tequila or mezcal. It's just a lot of fun to experiment.
Now, one thing I didn't see absinthe in as on any of the recipes, so I may experiment with that.
Not you haven't seen it until you got your hands on it. And now now I'm looking forward to the feedback.
Yeah, yeah, I'll have to play with it. I got some Absinthia's absinthe that I think would be great to pair with this and just see what comes out with all the brightness from the product. I mean, it's amazing how fresh that is. I mean, especially for it to be shipped and and make it here and still have that freshness.
That's the hope that we maintain is that, I think that for a long time, Crystal, it was almost like banging our head against the wall a little bit on how do you do that? It seems simple in principle. With tequila, it really is an algebraic formula. You know where you're getting your agave, the yeast strains, how you're going to ferment, how you're going to distill, what kind of water you're going to add back to bring it down to proof. And you can do that very effectively and with craft. With this, there's a whole added facet of refrigeration and storage. And so I thought, being naive, that, hey, if it's 4 ingredients, if it's that simple, nothing that wouldn't be on your grandma's shopping list,
Yeah.
that it's going to be really easy. And in theory, it kind of is in the kitchen. You can kind of get a balance in the kitchen. Trying to bring that product to production and through distribution and getting it out to you was a lot more difficult than I ever anticipated. And so I think that might be one of the facets that we're most proud of, that you're able to say, hey, this is so fresh and it got to me.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's like I actually did it myself, but you did all the work.
And I'm happy to do the work. I will continue doing the work if you'll continue enjoying it. I promise.
Oh, I will, and I can't wait to tell others. How did you all come up with the packaging to keep it fresh and sustainable?
That was one of the hard parts when we launched Crystal. Our initial shelf life, because we hadn't had the studies yet. And so we weren't sure. And so our initial shelf life was 38 to 42 days.
Okay.
That's not a lot of time when you're manufacturing something and then you need to get it into a distribution network. And sadly, and like most companies that are going through their learning stages, we were pouring out product, or we were, using it ourselves because we weren't able to, figure out that timeline. When we figured out how stable the product actually was with the pH and the acidity, it it lent itself to a longer duration of shelf life if kept refrigerated, because from the second we make it, it's refrigerated. It's cold chain. And so that was really the rewarding part about the sustainability, is it wasn't as difficult to get that out to the consumer. And so for us, what's most important is at the production facility, there's absolutely no preservatives past the gate. It's all natural. We're really doing this naturally. We're crafting batches every week. So we try to really get it out to you as quickly as we can, so you have the longest amount of time with it.
I know with some of the expiration dates, I was like, oh yeah, they made this like last week.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that it's not easy. It is kind of difficult, but what's really rewarding is when you come out on the other side and you start to hit that cadence or that rhythm where you're like, hey, we're doing this now. I'm not going to go as far as saying the best possible way ever. Like, I have learnings every week, every month, but we're finally at a point in time where we're making a fresh, sustainable product that's getting out to you with some really good shelf life on it. And we're getting a lot of positive feedback. And that's more than I could ever ask for. I'm so grateful.
And I'm loving this. I can't wait to try more flavors.
Awesome.
This is amazing. And I'm going to actually capture the moment that people take a sip.
That is the best thing I've heard all day. I can't wait to see how y'all do.
I love candid moments. I love getting natural reactions. And I think everyone's eyes are just going to open wide to try this.
You and I both. We both love the natural reactions. And I think it's one of the most rewarding things in life, when you share something with somebody and they appreciate it, or a light bulb turns on and they're like, hey, let me play. Let me try.
Yeah.
I love that. So thank you, sincerely.
No, thank you. I get to feel like a bartender.
Great. Let's go. I can't wait. This will be fun.
Yes, it is. And I'll probably do like a little garnish bar with it as well. So if people want to create something fun and fancy looking, they can do that as well.
And that brings up a great point. I think that's really important. And I'm glad you brought it up, Crystal, because for us, like, there's kind of two ways that we approach this. One is we want to make this as easy or as fun and curated as you want it to be. And so, in other words, we're really kind of creating the base to say, hey, we're going to take a lot of the work out for you, but then, just like any recipe, right, you get to decide at home where you want to take it to. Yeah. And for me, being a spirits guy or a cocktail guy, for me, garnishes are so key, because I think it adds so much to the end effect or the presentation of it. That the two ways that we approach it are Fresh Victor +1. So you're honestly, besides the ice, you're adding one thing to it. Yes. And it may be a spirit. It could be any spirit. It could be a sparkling wine or champagne. It could be a wine for sangria. It could be sparkling water for a low-cal soft drink. It could be still water for agua fresca. Yeah. You could take it anywhere with +1. However, if you want to have a lot of fun, you can start looking at, hey, what if I added 2, 3, or 4 things to it and make something more complex and garnish it? And then you can just do beautiful things. And those are the most really rewarding things for me, when people send photos of, hey, I took this for a test drive and look at what I did. Yeah. It's like seeing your kid grow up. You're just like, oh, wow.
That is awesome. I love that you use the word curated, because that's one of the things we love to do is craft curated experiences. So we've done a few tastings. We've hosted a lot of parties where we just try to make it an experience for everyone. Try to bring something that no one's had
Right.
because it brings about a different conversation. It's like, oh man, I didn't know about this, or man, this is better than this. I never knew about this. And it's just fun to have those conversations. It brings something different.
Absolutely right. It really does, and it creates a whole new, never before had conversation. And that's what I love because tequila industry, there's so much nuance. You can
Yes.
get there's so much complexity to just a blanco where you have hundreds and hundreds of characteristics and notes and all these different things, whether it's a highland or lowland or red clay soil or black volcanic soil or the mineral content from the agave. There's so much that goes into this, and with our stuff, what I really love is the idea of the limitless combinations. You could just go to town on this stuff and be like, hey, we've got years of work ahead of us.
Yeah.
Let's figure out where we want to take it.
I mean, it's almost like having the 9 different flavor combinations, all the different spirit types. It's almost like a sonic drink. It's like, how many combinations can you make?
I, that's a question that I will not be able to answer today. But a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I was never able to solve that mathematical equation, but I feel like the answer is a lot.
But I sure tried. I'm with you.
Oh man. Well, this has been an amazing time. Sorry for all the technical difficulties.
No worries.
But I'm just really amazed by this. I'm so excited to share this with friends and just get their take as well, and definitely send that to you. Um,
Awesome.
is there any, I'm trying to think if there's anything else to ask. I went through the website, everything was just so fun. Great to learn about your journey in the industry and how you got here. And I really love that, and that you are definitely making drinks efficient.
Yeah,
um,
and what we're really trying to do is make sure that you have access to it. And so I think one of the best things for us has been partnering with Total Wine and More in the sense that they're really moving towards a mixed drink movement where it's like, hey, whether it's cocktails or mocktails, you should be able to find everything that you need under one roof. And that's been so cool to see. Like, hey, you can do it this way. We're also really experiencing some upticks in like Epicurean grocery, where they're also seeing like, hey, this is a real vehicle because it has so much versatility, and it kind of creates a halo effect over our entire spirits department or our entire wine department, because you can use it with all of it. And lastly, like our direct to consumer, like we did for you, we're not everywhere yet. We're still a relatively small company with a strong mission statement, but we want to make sure that everybody in the greater 50 states has access to Fresh Victor within 48 hours of ordering.
I am excited for that day because we do
That,
not have Total Wine here either.
yeah, no. Hey, with the DTC, the day's here. We've already got a fulfillment center at the production facility, and so we're ready to ship anytime. And it's easy to do. You just go on our website and you order, and within 48 hours, it shows up on your doorstep, just like you got it. And again, the word curated, you can curate your Fresh Victor pack to whatever flavors you want. You can do all of them, or you can do one, or you can do a mixed bag, or whatever, tickles your fancy. So I really like the idea of allowing you to drink the way that you like best. And people tend to gravitate towards certain things, like whether it's spicy or whether it's, kind of the pineapple, the snap of the ginger or anything else. And so we're happy to be able to fill that void.
You guys are doing a great job. May I ain't gonna finish the bottle. I'm gonna be good. But I'm trying to hold on to it, let Roger try some of it.
We can always send you more.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on with us. We enjoy your products, and we'll continue to share those with those that we love.
Oh, thank you so much, Crystal. It was a joy meeting you. I really appreciate your time, and I want to wish you the happiest of holidays and New Year.
Thank you. Same to you. Appreciate you being here, Ken. Thanks.
Thanks, Crystal.